Well, hello, how are you doing? All right, long time no see. Hope everybody's well. It's been a good couple of weeks since I last saw you all. I'd just like to say I've got a few more subscribers, which is great. That means we're on the up and not on the... So we're doing something right. Right, basically, I hope everybody's doing well, like I say. Why we've not really been doing anything as much, because basically it's been quiet. But I thought I'd put a couple of things together to just keep you in touch of what we're kind of thinking and trying to arrange. So yeah, so let's start with W.H.I.T news. Sorry, the table's gone. It was made up and the items have been passed on to somebody else, so I've no table at the moment. So I'm sorry, there's no table and there's no anything like, you know, I put Paul Sinclair's mug on the side and stuff for a little bit of a gimmick and a good advertisement for somebody. But yeah, so I'm going to have to look for something else. It's not all glamour, you know, on YouTube. It's, you know, like I said, we're a very genuine team and you see what goes on all around us. Well, you do with me anyway. So yeah, so thanks for supporting my channel. And right, let's start the W.H.I.T News 3. W.H.I.T News 3, come on. Fill your boots. Right, as you can see on the actual listing of YouTube, you'll see the actual profile photo is of Heysham Nuclear Power Plant. Now that is up Cumbria way, and if you don't know, a lot of my friends know, and a few people like yourself know. I work over that way as well, part-time, so I live up there and I work up there. And I was just pondering the other day, I was just sat in the caravan pondering, and something went bing, and I thought, silly me, why have I not done that before? So basically the idea was, and I think it's something different, which a lot of people you know, me as a person, I like I like doing things different, sorry. So where the actual caravan site is, you've got a little bit of a wood and you step onto the coast. Well, that coast viewpoint, you can see for miles and miles and miles. Silverdale just keeps going. The sea is, honestly, it's absolutely magnificent. And if you go back on a couple of my videos, you'll see the actual point where I've done a lot of drone footage at the time. But yeah, if you stand on top of there, you get a really good view straight over to Heysham. So what I'm planning on doing is leaving a camera set up somehow. I don't know, if you've got any ideas, please pop them down below. I was speaking to Mick McLaren and Paul Sinclair about it, but the way I was thinking it was going to work, it weren't, because it needs to go on a hard drive. So if anybody's got any ideas of like a camera or whatnot, you can just leave there for a couple of days and see if anything actually, you know, appears over the power station, because actually there has been a couple of sightings at Heysham, which, you know, you'll just see in a second. Flicking through the actual information I've found on YouTube. Yeah, so black triangle, unidentified flying object, whatever you want to call it, it actually has been seen over Heysham Power Plant. So, but it's a nuclear power plant as well, so that's quite interesting. So yeah, so that's one idea I've got, I'm pondering on at the moment, which is quite interesting, and like I say, it's very different. So yeah. Basically as well, Cannock Chase. I've not really seen you all since Cannock Chase. If you watched my video, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Me, myself, I think I could have done better, but I've just been work. It's just been crazily busy. So I kind of rushed it to get it on. What I'm trying to say is I think I could have done better, to be fair, but I wanted you to all see it. You know, I'm not full of music and all that kind of thing. I need the facts to get over to you so as you know what we're actually up to. That's why I'm sat here today and you're watching me. So yeah, Cannock Chase, it felt like a rush, like doing the video, but as well the day felt like a rush as well, because it was like the motorway was closed again at one point, so it added another 35 minutes onto my journey. A few people got things, I think, a little bit mixed up and they come a bit later on. I had stuff wrote down which was going to do, which didn't happen. But anyway, what we did the best we could at the time. And I'm glad, really, I kind of put it on like I did. Because if you've seen it, you'll see that we actually go with Nat and Pete and the rest of them, Darren, Bob, so on and so on. And you see we do like a little bit of a visual in the actual hall, which Pete wanted to do, which he felt that when you walked into the room, he felt like people were unhappy and sad and needed passing over. So that's the idea. We thought, yeah, we'll do something like that. We'll put a camera in every corner and hey ho, we'll catch something. Fingers crossed. But it didn't happen. I saw something, but it only kind of, I saw it, but I didn't say nothing. If you saw the actual video, you'll see there was at the back of the room. So I was actually facing Pete and Mick McLaren was on my right hand side near the little grave in the centre. Now I saw a little twinkle behind Mick, like a little flash, and I thought to myself, did I see that? And just as I was thinking that, Pete said, did anybody see that little bit of a light behind Mick? And I knew I'd actually seen it. But for some reason, the cameras were really not playing that night because we had loads and loads of failures. What I'm trying to say is, you know, Mick does video as well when I do one, when we go to places like that or we're local or anything of interest we can get over to you. You know, we'll pass it over and Mick does a video, I do a video, but things were failing. We had cameras where they were running but no audio, never happened before. I think when I spoke to Mick McLaren about it a couple of weeks ago, he said his body cam never played up whatsoever. It's like used for, the police use it, so it must be really good. He said it just was playing, but it just went blank. There was no picture, and he said it's never ever happened before. I'd bought a new SLS camera, which when I actually was playing about with it there and it was catching little bits, fine. Press record, fine. Press stop, brilliant, fantastic. Did the 3 visuals like you've all seen. If you've not, flick back and have a look at Cannock Chase and then you'll know what I'm on about. When I came to actually switch the SLS off, it was already off. All 3 visuals, it actually switched itself off. Don't know why. I've come home and tried it since, left it running for minutes and minutes and minutes, been fine. There's loads of data in the actual memory card you get with it, so we're at a loss, we just can't understand it. But yeah, Cannock Chase was interesting, that's all I can say. It was a bit of an eye-opener, I'm glad I went, and what a beautiful place it is. Respect to all the people who were buried there, and respect to the people who actually granted it to be made, because it is a fabulous place. If you've never been, you must go, it's a fantastic place. And it's a cracking day out. But yeah, so that was it basically. Most of them went home that night for different reasons, but 4 of us stopped. And we stopped near, we didn't actually see it. We actually heard about it through Alan. Alan said to us that there's an old tree whereabouts you're putting the camp up, and it's where people hang themselves. I was like, oh right, okay, well, you know, that's, if there is anything we might catch something. Anyway, there was no feeling whatsoever, but every now and again when we first set up camping, And I'd say an hour, 2 hours, kind of that kind of time scale that we kept hearing like a creaking. There was no wind whatsoever. It weren't cold. We didn't have a fire, and it was like a branch creaking, but like a I don't know, like something, a rope tightening. It was quite strange, and everybody could hear it. And as soon as we mentioned it, and it happened again, everybody stopped again. So everybody was actually hearing it, but we couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from. But it didn't happen all night. It was only, say, 4 times it happened. The 5th time, and then we got more or less another repeat straight after of it again, and that was it. Then it had gone, which was quite strange. We also had a visit from, I thought it was another Delamere Forest. We were getting thrown off, but no, it was fine. The security guy was just saying, "Look, we've had a bit of a call in. What are you doing?" Probably seen Darren, as we said, but give it due. Darren's got everything. If we didn't need anything, with all his equipment and whatnot, and thought, "Oh God, they're going grinding, the gravestones down, taking the marble." But no, we weren't. But you can understand why they actually called in security. So yeah, so that was interesting as well. But the bloke was spot on. Who we were speaking to, he was a cracking bloke, to be honest. And he just told us a few stories himself. But there again, I've covered a couple which are in my video. And yeah, it was an interesting bloke. But yeah, he just said, enjoy yourself. And Darren was stood right next to him on the good ponder with him. And then he just kind of got in his Jeep, turned round, put the barrow down, locked it and went. So basically, yeah. But basically, Cannock Chase was just, like I say, a nice, good eye-opener, but nothing really strange happened. Not for what you actually hear the stories if you look on the internet about, the black-eyed children, the actual werewolf, Bigfoot. There's all sorts. He just goes on and on. But if you want to check the history, just, have a look on the internet. But yeah, it's a lovely place. So that was Cannock Chase, but there again, nothing. But like I say, it was worth going for that split second of where I saw that flash, because Pete saw it. So yeah. Right, also I'd like to cover as well the meets. Now, I've been speaking to Mick about the meets we're having this year, and we don't know what's going on at the moment, because we don't know ourselves where we're actually meeting. It's kind of split decision, and days in front. I don't know why, because everybody's busy. I'm mega busy, like I say, so it's very hard to just keep arranging stuff. So just keep your eyes on W.H.I.T on Facebook, and if there's anything coming up, we'll be as fast as we can to get it on and let you people know so you can arrange things. But it's very hard at the moment, and time flies when you're having fun. But not at the moment, because I'm working. But there you go. Also, I'd like to say, right, this is a bit of funny, really, and it was actually brought up on Paul Sinclair's live stream a couple of weeks ago. Missing 411. Right. If you've not seen it, nip back on Paul's live stream and see what Paul actually says, which, it's not nice, but I understand what he's saying. That, he got, before, when Missing 411 was actually taking off, he was there one night at home and he got this little email, and he was really rude with Paul. And he's not saying he's bad at his work. I'm not saying he's bad at his work. Neither of us are. I mean, he's doing a cracking job. He's keeping cases alive, but it's just the mannerism, which I kind of gripped when I started watching it, when it was kind of new in the time. I've really stopped watching it now, to be fair. But what's sparked me interest on it is I keep hearing, and I found another channel, was a young guy, the same age as me, young guy, in America, and he's actually breaking the cases down to make them see if there's anything genuine about it, not like on the paranormal aspect. Really digging, using his own money, getting the case files from the actual police, and he's just really doing a brilliant job. And a few people have told about it. If you've not watched it, you must watch The Missing Enigma. He's a great guy and he's brilliant in his detail. He finds everything out, and like I say, he uses his own money to pay for cases and bring to us. So, you know, go over to his channel, like him and subscribe, because he is brilliant. But basically what he's doing is the actual, some of the cases like Aaron Edge's
Freezing 411 documentary, there's a little bit of confusion here. The documentary claims that it was September 3rd, 2014. Now, of course, if you've seen the Missing Enigmas channel video on this, he says it was September 5th. I went back and I looked through the documents. It definitely appears that they left for the mountains on September 5th. Part of the reason for that is that the 5th was a Friday, and Paulides says that the 3rd was a Thursday, when in reality it was a Wednesday. So it seems like Missing Enigma has his facts a little bit more straight. Another place where Paulides departs from the official Park County narrative, and I'll give him credit for this, he was not given access to that, while Missing Enigma seems to have been. It appears that David Paulides, according to my sources in the various departments, was denied access by the department and did not submit a FOIA request, perhaps because he thought that the Sweetgrass County reports would be enough for him to go on. There's another issue, which is that Paulides in the documentary claims that they went up Cottonwood Bench Road. That part appears to be correct, but he also says they parked their vehicles at Cottonwood Creek Trailhead. He doesn't necessarily say that's where it was, but what he displays on screen is in fact Cottonwood Creek Trailhead, and that's not correct. I confirmed with the departments involved that they actually set out from the Ibex Trail at Ibex Cabin and then made their way east and then north up Cottonwood Creek Trail to Trespass Trail. And then one final inconsistency on this part of them beginning the trip is that Paulides says they had 2 horses and a mule. In reality, they had a single pack horse and a single mule. And according to documents from Park and Sweetgrass County, they were not exactly familiar with how to use pack animals. They had brought them along, but they were having a lot of trouble keeping control of them. Regardless of those issues, the sources do agree that they went north to Trespass Creek and rode a trail somewhere in between the 8,500-foot peak and the 7,000-foot creek location. Then, about 2 miles from where they started their trek, the mule freaked out, dropped a whole bunch of stuff down the hill.
Tom Messi, he's breaking them down and actually looking at them in fine detail. Now, what we're trying to say is the detail, what he's finding, for some reason, David Paulides of Missing 411 is not actually bringing in. Now, I don't know if it's due to a timing. I'm not saying it's, you know, David missing stuff, calling him, not having a go at him at all, but it's just very interesting when you watch the Missing Enigma and you watch Missing 411. They're totally, in a sense, of different stories. So go over, like I said, the Missing Enigma, support the channel, and go and watch Missing 411 and compare the cases, because there is a lot of difference and a lot of details are missed. I mean, take for instance, there was Greg Monroe, 62-year-old. It happened October the 18th, 2013, I believe. Yeah, Mavara National Reserve. He actually left his home and he went up to, I think it was called the New York Mountains, and he actually set up camp more or less, but he took his Toyota Hilux pickup, more or less camped, put a little bit of stuff outside, and it looks like he's wandered off. When the police came to track to him to see where he'd, you know, gone missing or whatnot, they couldn't find him for a couple of days, and then on the 7th of November they did actually find him. Now, this would actually go down as a Missing 411 case, but the person who found him on November the 7th was a police officer, and he stumbled across a 30-inch by 30-inch square in the ground. All comes to all, it's an old mine shaft. Now, when they looked down it, it was more or less half full of water. So it was like 20 feet, it was 40 feet I think in depth, so 20 feet, maybe a touch more, was full of water, but Greg Monroe's body was in it. So, you know, it's just like a, you've got to really break it down and find out the fine detail. I mean, also as well, there's Mark Samitsa as well. He actually went missing on October the 19th, 2019. But the case actually is dragged into Missing 411, the UFO Connection, the new film. Now, when I watched the actual film, which I did, because I think it's a great film, I think it does need coverage because, you know, people being abducted and stuff like that. It's got to be true because there's loads of abductees out there. The actual case was covered by the Missing Enigma, which is one of the latest cases. And he says that basically, you know, there is something untoward, blah 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 thing. And it was getting a little bit more that it was not a UFO abduction, to be honest. It was getting that, you know, it was basically it just wandered off. I don't know if he was actually hooked on drugs or whatnot, but you can watch the two and compare them. It tells you more on the Missing Enigma of the details of the drugs. But before Missing 411, the UFO Connection came out, they found his body. That was a month prior to the film coming out. So there again, that's what I'm on about, the timing. So you've got to bear that in mind. But that's quite interesting that they did actually find his body. But also as well, going back to Tom Messick, which I mentioned in my last WHIT News, he was also a hunter and he suddenly disappeared. But when you actually, well, I'm going to actually show you the actual footage I found, and it's from two guys. It's called the Lure Lodge. That's what they're actually called on YouTube, but it's called the actual program, which you're about to see, is called Into Thin Air. And yeah, so just watch this and you'll see what I mean about missing detail, and, you know, make your own mind up. But like I say, you can watch, you know, the Lure of the Lodge.
Weeks. They search for him every day. Nothing ever found of him. My opinion on it, knowing that area, is he was never there.
All right. And why is that?
Why is that? The guy was an expert in survival. He taught survival classes. Not a candy wrapper, not a footprint,
Right.
not a leaf disturbed. He was never there.
That's one that I've never heard. Did you know him at all?
No.
All right.
But I've also heard a story that his brother came up missing the same way 10 years prior to it.
Really?
I don't know if it's true. It's
Yeah, I mean, we can look
hearsay
into
or
it.
what. I know the FBI doesn't say anything about it.
Right.
There was a couple here from West Virginia last year that actually were doing kind of the same thing you guys are doing. FBI wouldn't talk to them either. The state police wouldn't talk to them. Only a couple of the family members would talk to them.
We couldn't even find their information to reach out to them.
Yeah.
So, like, the story I was told could be hearsay, could be fact, could be total fiction. His brother came up missing hunting with the same group of people 10 years prior. So are the two of them kicked back in the Bahamas somewheres, having a Mai Tai? Who knows?
Interesting.
But I know there was no trace of him found in there.
Yeah, that's the part that's been bugging us.
They didn't find any clothes. Listen, the guy's a survivalist. He knows, even at 80-something years old, yeah, he had a bad ear, had bad hearing.
82.
Okay, 82 years old. He knows, I'm going hunting. I'm bringing a couple of power bars, candy bar, a bottle of water, you know, matches, normal hunting gear for anybody. You know, your normal side gear. And they found nothing.
Nothing at all.
You know, there's been the rumor of, oh, Sasquatch snatched him up. So the area where he was
Wrong
hunting,
area for Sasquatch anyway.
the area he was hunting, There used to be a sawmill in that area.
Uh-huh.
There's a huge sawdust pile buried under 70 years of leaves and foliage and whatever.
Right.
So I know from hunting that area, I grew up here my entire life.
So you've hunted in that area?
I've hunted that entire area. I've hunted from here to Lake George through Hague area.
Gotcha.
Grew up hunting all of that. I still travel back in there and fish. I know that sawdust pile, I know what happens to sawdust over time. It becomes a sponge.
Yeah, it rots.
If he'd have walked out onto that, he could have sunk down into it. But you would have saw some sign where the leaves were disturbed. They found nothing.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, they found absolutely no trace of him. I don't believe he was ever in there.
I mean, we didn't even consider that possibility, but
Yeah, no,
it does make sense.
Do you by chance know what his brother's name was?
I don't.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure I can figure it
The
out.
folks that were here doing a story on him that were from West Virginia, I don't remember their names. They actually talked to his wife.
All right.
Oh wow. Okay.
And they said that she seemed remorseless that he was missing.
How long ago was this?
This was about this time last summer they were
All
here.
right. You know, the one who should have come to
It's
grips with it.
older husband and wife
Yeah.
couple. They do kind of the same thing. They just travel around and do unsolved mystery kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Wow. That's the one thing that gets mentioned a lot, and specifically in the Missing 411 documentary. I don't know if you've seen it, but Missing 411: The Hunted. They talk about this specific case. It's the first one they talk about.
Yeah, I've seen that.
A little sensational. One of the things that gets mentioned is that there's they said they didn't hear anything at all. They didn't see any deer, they didn't see any squirrels, didn't hear birds. It was just wind rustling through the trees, and that was it. Is that something that you've ever experienced out there?
No, I mean, I don't believe that. You walk in the woods anywhere
Yeah.
around here. I grew up in these woods. Like I haven't hunted in years, but growing up, my whole family was hunters,
Yeah.
fishermen, trappers. You don't go in the woods in the Adirondacks and not hear a bird, a squirrel, or something. You
Yeah,
might not see them.
I was up there in
You're
the
at least
woods.
gonna hear them.
I went a couple hundred yards in, not that far, but I mean, it was.
So
There were birds.
You can drive that road that you guys were on.
Yeah.
You can drive all the way to Lily Pond to a boat launch area. He wasn't.
And it's
all
not
the
a
way
private
back.
road.
No, that's a county road.
Gotcha.
Seasonal and maintained. You know.
Yep.
They actually had some prisoners from one of the prisons here 10 years ago, 15 years ago, doing a bunch of work on that road.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
That they kind of do that for some of the trail areas.
Gotcha.
like that
Keep it
back in
maintained
there.
for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably give the prisoner some money for it too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's
But I personally, and I know other people in this area that believe he was never in there. You know.
Are there any theories as to what might have been the alternative?
That depends. I mean,
people around here.
do I have theories? I have theories, yeah. There's two theories that I think about. Either him and his brother are sitting somewheres in the Bahamas or Mexico, you know,
Just hanging.
out
Yeah.
for whatever reasons people want to completely disappear for it. Or he was murdered somewhere. And I don't believe he's ever in there.
I guess that's one thing we didn't consider is that he could have been killed not in the woods,
Yeah.
and they could have used that as a cover-up.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to find a boot print.
Yeah.
Fall hunting season, the woods are wet around here.
And that was another thing that stuck out to me is I was up in those woods about 3 miles that way, and I hit a spot where my foot just sunk. Like, thankfully I noticed it didn't get my whole leg, but as you can see, like, my foot went down to there. So, for the camera to see, my foot went down to there.
Yeah, so I mean, like, and I grew up going up in northeastern PA, like, a couple times a year.
We're from
out in
Philly.
the woods and stuff. Yeah, and I mean, you can't walk through woods without leaving some form of tracks.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So,
And like I said, the guy's an expert in the wilderness. Taught classes on it for years on how to survive in the wild.
yeah.
You're gonna find something. You're gonna find a piece of clothing that he left for a marker for somebody to find, or you're gonna find a candy bar wrapper or a water bottle, something where he bedded down that night, the first night. After, because of his age, I'm sure he's on some medications.
Probably.
After the first 2 nights, I say he didn't have much of a chance to live in there.
No.
Expert or not, at that age, that's very rough country, you know.
And the fact that everything disappeared.
Yeah.
Listen, if there was a body in there, within 2 or 3 days it would be gone. The coyotes would have destroyed it.
All right, so
This area is rampant with coyotes.
So a lot of coyotes, and what about
You know,
bears, mountain lions?
Black bear. NCON says there's no mountain lions. I personally have seen a mountain lion in this area,
There's got to be one or two.
so I know they're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, what I said in the last one is we're doing a new section which is called Out in the Field. Now, out in the field is where people write to me, we go out, interviews or whatnot, but like I said, it's been quiet. But I've had a couple of messages off Chris Mitchell. Now, Chris is always in the chat with Paul, with me, and the live stream and everybody else, more or less on a Thursday. So yeah, a lot of people will know Chris. But he's come to me with a case, basically, at Bempton Cliffs. But, funny enough, it's actually the hill. Now, it's the hill where I had the paranormal sighting. And Paul's had a few, things happened there, stories which have gone back in the past, which is covered, and they're all around that hill. So there is something about that hill. I don't know what it is. It's just strange. But basically, Chris one day was up there and he was just filming from a distance. So don't forget, it was a fair distance away, because if you go off the footpath, which I don't recommend you do at RSPB, Bempton, you've got nesting birds and whatnot, so you stuck to the path. That was the same with my actual sighting. You couldn't really go and have a proper look. Not that we would have done, but you kind of, you have to think there's animals in between, you could step on them, you just not, we wouldn't do that. So, so Chris was filming, don't know what he was filming, but he actually did catch something on film, which is quite of interest. And like I said, it's very interesting to me, because it happened more or less in the same spot as where we had the sighting. And it may be that it was the same, one of them. I don't know if there's one or two. I can't remember what he emailed me now. But there's definitely one of them, which pricked my ears up. But it's just strange that, it's happened on that hill. Like I say, it's a very interesting place, that. Very interesting indeed. But yeah, so just watch this little bit of a clip, and I'll put a couple of photos on after of it zoomed in, and just see what you think. If you think it's, pareidolia or something like that, just say so. Because Chris would like to know. I know he'd love to know, to be honest. But yeah, just let me know down below, comment below, and we'll find out more. What I all want to say, basically. So from me and the W.H.I.T team, I'd just like to say thank you to all viewers and subscribers. If you subscribed, brilliant. I can't thank you enough. I'd also like to say as well, big shout out to Oliver. Oliver's been on Mick McLaren's channel, sorry. My throat's getting a bit dry now. I've no water. No truth proof. No truth proof. But yeah, Oliver tomorrow is, well, this is actually, I think it's today actually, he's starting it, but I spoke to him yesterday, so it'll be today, sorry. He's doing the Cumbrian Way. So yeah, so 5 days. He's pushing the boundaries a little bit more instead of just one night camping. So
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands, strong like a tree, there's roots.
give him big support. He doesn't do anything like, you know, all flashy and all this on his YouTube channels and all that. I'm not saying it's wrong, but he's just dead straight, genuine person. Give him your support, and yeah, and I'll keep you updated how he goes on. So from me and the W.H.I.T team, like I say, bye bye for now, and thanks for watching. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.